For some reason, the animus against Jesus, I think, itself requires psychological explanation. Because think about it. Wouldn't the world be a better place if everybody followed the teachings of Jesus? If everybody turned the other cheek, was kind and gentle, forgave others for offenses? If you look at Jesus' teachings, never hurt anybody. Even then, it's not enough for Dan. He's able to ransack through the Bible and find Jesus was rude to his mom. Things like that. It suggests to me, in a sense, a bitterness that I think is now become part, very often, not always, of modern atheism. I want to answer his point about sick people, because I think that the case for Christianity depends upon the acknowledgement of the following fact. Things are not as they ought to be. Anybody in this room disagree? I don't see any hands up. I think we'd all agree that we live on two levels. Here's the way things are. Let's call that the human level. And we all know, we can envision, we hope for a better world, perfect justice, perfect beauty, perfect truth. Let's call that the divine level. That's the way things ought to be. So there's a huge chasm between the way things are and the way things ought to be. And how do you bridge this chasm? The atheist goes, that's the wrong diagnosis. We're doing great right now. That's just a foolish refusal to acknowledge the depravity and the difficulty that even Darwin admits is built into human nature. We are selfish, grasping, tribal beings in the world. All you have to do is set people loose and remove laws. Just let the cops take a week off and see what happens. That's human nature. Let's be realistic about it. So here's the way we are, here's the way things ought to be. And most religions in the world say that humans can climb up to the divine level by following a set of codes and commandments. That's Judaism, that's Islam. You follow a diet, follow these rules, and man can step by step move up to God. Christianity is unique and radical in saying, in effect, no. This gap is too big. We're sick in that sense. We cannot climb high enough to get to God's level. We can go up a couple of rungs, but it's ultimately not going to make a difference. Jesus saw that. So Jesus' point, in a sense, is the only way to close the gap is to reverse it. This level has to come down to our level. God has to, in some sense, become man. That's the only way to close this chasm. And Jesus ultimately is, if you will, God's emissary, God's ambassador to the world. And look at what Jesus says. He basically says, yes, we can't jump over the bar. In that sense, we're all guilty. But here's the remedy. What do we have to do to achieve salvation? Only one thing. Admit it. Essentially, if you plead guilty, you are going to get an acquittal. I mean, what could be a gentler, easier counsel than to say, whatever you've done, even Hitler, if you have true repentance, salvation is assured to you. So what is it in human nature that rebels against a message so easy? In a sense, Christ is essentially saying we're all up on trial, and all we got to say is, I did it, and we can go scot-free. Imagine if our criminal justice system worked that way. Ultimately, Christianity is offering something that remedies a built-in problem in human nature. It's not ultimately just about the Bible. The Bible is a way of interpreting human nature. But I think ultimately what atheism is it's a cop-out. It's a refusal to look human nature in the face. It's a refusal to recognize that there is a better world, that we haven't gotten there yet. And in some senses, there are many questions. Why do we have a universe? Why are we here? Where are we going? Science supplies no answer to those questions. Science is in the dark. So to just look to science, science is valuable. I need it for my iPod. I need it for a lot of stuff in the world every time I get on a plane. But ultimately, God answers the deeper questions, and Christianity gives us hope. Thank you very much.